So the House of PMO Essentials for PMO Administrators is a brand new course that came out this year. We do it over 3 days, 9 to 4, delivered virtually. Then hopefully we'll get back into the classroom shortly. And it covers off really kind of, as we said, a lot of the kind of the first days spent really helping people understand projects and program management in a kind of a work environment. We then go on to discuss the key roles. So we don't just say this is the PMO administrator's role. We talk about all of the roles that kind of sit in and around the PMO, where the PMO administrator role sits, what the PMO administrator's key responsibilities are. And then as we move through the back end of day 2 and into day 3, we go through the specific activities that they might be required to do and give them the knowledge, the skills. And we also importantly talk about the right behaviours to demonstrate as they undertake their activities. Well, it's interesting. We had quite a mix of people on the first course. We had somebody who wanted to be a trainer, and her feedback was really interesting because although she'd done the role for a long time, she said she'd never had a course that she could recommend to people to actually attend if they were starting in their kind of PMO career. So that was one kind of specific instance. The majority of the delegates were there because they were either about to move into a PMO role, so they came from a PA background or an executive assistant background where they saw the next move for their career to move into doing a PMO administrator role, but they didn't necessarily feel confident enough to do a kind of a full-blown project management course. So it was really about as much about getting an understanding of the role as well as the kind of knowing what they had to do in order to be able to do that role. Well, I think project management is something that everybody's kind of heard of these days. You know, it's not a kind of a strange specialist term. We all kind of use it in everyday life. So it was interesting to get kind of their perceptions of what project management was like in a work context rather than as we use it in everyday English. So there was quite a bit of clarifying people's understanding. And as you know, in PMO Learning, one of the things we always take the opportunity to is to get the delegates to discuss their particular questions and issues rather than kind of having the trainer kind of just spout for kind of 2 or 3 days. So it was really good for them to kind of just clarify and ask all of those questions that they really didn't feel as though they had anybody to ask before. So getting to understand kind of what a project was, what a program was, what that kind of means in reality, what kind of gets delivered and the key roles clarified in their head and actually allowed them to kind of position themselves and reflect on what they see in the workplace around projects and programs and kind of align that to thinking. So that was kind of really quite important to them. Well, absolutely. If nothing else now, they feel as though they can use the language. So before then, as I say, there was words that they kind of knew and they understood in English, but not necessarily in the project management kind of world. So they're a lot more confident in using that terminology now. Of course, they all pass their exams. And I have to say, you know, again, at PMO Learning, we're not the kind of establishment where we kind of focus on getting everybody through the exams, though we happen to do that as well as everybody having a great time and learning what needs to be learned to do their job.